Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you, colleagues. And I will make just this disclaimer as I begin. My family was delighted there was a time limitation, so we had to cut all the illustrations. Children, grandchildren, husband, I have some doozies, but they're out because of the time. But I do appreciate being reminded of a lot of things already on the table here. And then perhaps I would remind you of the old rabbi who used to get up in the morning in his prayers and say, "I thank God I am not a woman." Well, I am here to say I thank God I am a woman, and I am a mother, I am a grandmother. And in these few moments, I hope that for both you women and men, you will see why mothers are so important. You know, being a mother is both demanding and rewarding, and it's the equivalent to a professional pursuit. No one, teacher, psychologist, or spiritual leader, has the opportunity to mold minds, heal spirits, nurture bodies, and develop potential as does a mother. Despite pressures and difficulties, this job can be amazingly productive and overwhelmingly rewarding. And the results of competent mothering will be passed from generation to generation. For such an awesome assignment, a mother does not look at rearing her children as merely one of her mundane responsibilities, but rather it is a high priority. It is her mission and her life's work, and it becomes an opportunity for her greatest legacy. Yet, why is it that fewer and fewer women willingly and joyfully commit themselves to this task? Some women are seeking virtue in putting a lock on their wombs. They want a personal place for recognition and fame in the marketplaces of the world to showcase their respective gifts and creativity unhindered by any family responsibility. Yes, children do bring changes and sacrifices far beyond the financial challenges that come. A mother loses a lot of her privacy. Believe me, I had to lock the door to the bathroom just to have a quiet time when the children were taking a nap, just to feel some protection. So it is true that your lifestyle can be radically changed. There are no guarantees. Children may bring disappointments and sorrows. The joy of motherhood offers the highest level of service. You cannot pay a woman to do what mothers do for free. A mother's commitment to the care of her children would be considered irrational by some. Her rewards are not materialistic benefits that fade, but intangible rewards of blessings and honor that will last through eternity. Children reflect their mother, often saying more about her in the living out of their lives than she would want anyone to hear. The mother of Methodism, as she's called, Susanna Wesley, homeschooled her children 6 hours a day in her home classroom. Her husband wandered in out of curiosity one day to observe her home classroom, and he counted her repetition of the same thing to one child 20 times. Quote, "I wonder at your patience," end of quote, he said. "You have told that child 20 times the same thing." Susanna rose to the occasion and responded, "If I had satisfied myself by mentioning it only 19 times, I should have lost all my labor. It was the 20th time that crowned it." And any mother worth her salt knows that. Wisdom is needed to guide the 21st century mother in pursuing her homemaking and nurturing maternity with a sense of priorities, using energy, imagination, creativity, and skills to maximize her effectiveness in the role that is the most life-changing for her family. I still find my greatest source of wisdom is in the Bible, and I make no apologies for that, especially the book of Proverbs. And then I have a wealth of personal experiences. And you know, even in the 21st century, I can share those more effectively through personal conversations face-to-face than I can type out in text or emails. In the family circle, a mother has the potential of her own greenhouse to be managed under the attentive care of a master gardener. There's much more than automatic sprinkling and robotic feeding of plants. It's not simply survival she's looking for, but the delight of fellowship and personal interaction as she literally grows the next generation. I see the home as essential for the production of moral, social, and human capital, the workforces and visionary leaders needed for the future. This process, when done with excellence, cannot be short-circuited, mechanized, or standardized to one size fits all. CNN political contributor Hillary Rosen, who's probably known pretty well in this area, rocked the world in 2012 when she took after Ann Romney, whose husband, Mitt Romney, was then running for president, the mother of 5 children. Hillary quipped off, she never worked a day in her life. Now, any woman who has invested her life, and I hope most men in watching them, would know that in meeting the needs of her family in the home, you're dumbfounded at such a careless and untrue statement, and coming from a woman who never worked that job, I might add. Far beyond keeping your child clothed, sheltered, fed, and educated in general ways, a conscientious mother is responsible for developing her child's character and teaching him how to relate to other individuals in appropriate ways and how to pursue work with integrity and excellence. She shapes and develops, and in the early years, she even controls, you better hope she does, the child's personal choices and actions. She stretches her child the safety net of unconditional love as the child learns to navigate the challenges of life. And she, as no other human being, can feel his hurts and experience his joys, building his confidence and fortifying him with courage for the journey of life. Remembering that screen classic, and I'll show my age here, which is 72, by the way, Magnificent Obsession, I want to challenge this generation of mothers to embrace their own magnificent obsession. That is a complete dedication to the task of nurturing their children and to become family obsessed. And I hope you understood that, because I got chastised by one of my friends for being so radical as to say family obsessed. That's what I mean. I'm going to say it again. Family obsessed. And I mean that in the sense of being passionately devoted to the high and holy task of preparing the next generation. I make no apologies for that. Such indeed is considered abnormal by many who look at the task of maternity as perfunctory and without need for preparation or training, and certainly not the most important task a woman should pursue. Yet what a difference could be made if suddenly the home and family, and especially the children, could be treated at least with the same importance as other professional pursuits. Now, what's the task of maternity? I'm going to summarize briefly. First, every woman must be aware of the design and purpose for her body. She is equipped to be the life bearer, to conceive, carry, and nurture in her body the beginning of life. To speak straightforwardly, she has a baby-making body. She is tied in a unique way to the beginning of life in her womb. Her exclusive role in procreation and her unique human tie with her offspring positions that mother as central in her family and with influence far beyond the family circle. Throughout the generations, many have acknowledged that the mother in her home is the last bastion against the immorality and amorality of decadent society. She plays a major role in establishing the values and characters not only of her own children, but of the nations of the world. Second, mothers have the potential to be the rock of strength and haven of protection for their vulnerable children. Dorothy Canfield Fisher said, quote, "A mother is not a person to lean on, but a person to make leaning unnecessary. A mother who is anchored in her own faith and whose character is settled in her own life is going to be a formidable influence on her offspring." Henry Ward Beecher remarked, quote, "The mother's heart is the child's classroom." Just knowing that someone cares for him and is committed to him above every earthly endeavor gives the child confidence for whatever obstacles he may face and serves as a mooring for him in the storms of life that will come to every child. Kate Morris in the London Times last July spoke of the, quote, "sense of abandonment," end of quote, that stays with many children who go to boarding school and have nowhere to go with those feelings of abandonment. Morris noted that these children learn a sense of disassociation which becomes a lifetime habit and accompanied by difficulties in loving and letting love in. And in learning to cope on their own, the children become detached and even hardened. The conclusion of Morris, who herself was a boarding school child, was this: No one can replace your parents, not even the most well-meaning house mistress at the glossiest boarding school. My question for you, are we developing children who become in-home boarders, who must learn to cope on their own with daily challenges from a very young age, even when they're living in the midst of a family? Third, mothers have the opportunity to lay the foundation for all learning, not just what will be transmitted in the classroom, but the development of skills in living day to day. Now, I detest athletics of every kind. Hopefully there are no coaches to be offended, but I'm going to use a coach as an example, and please put that on my resume so they'll know I do recognize something good when I see it. Coach John McCarthy looks beyond performance-centered dads to bring in moms who approach the task of sports development as a gardener, growing human beings. Coach McCarthy sees moms as having the antidote to pressure to win at any cost sports. And he recalls that when he was cut from a team, his mother's response was, quote, "They just don't see what I see. There will be another team for you," end of quote. His mother looked for the joy. She wanted him to try his hardest while being kind to the player who was having a hard day and forgiving himself when he had a bad day. The politicians and educational theorists want to fix the downward spiral of our young people by just throwing money at it, allowing government-mandated preschool education to become a substitute for parents, or merely babysitting funded by taxpayers in order to free mothers to pursue greater heights in their own ascent to personal success. After all, anybody can rear a child, or so they say. Creating an educational setting that encourages learning demands some important elements: sensory experiences, choices in the midst of daily activities, reading aloud, field trips, exposure to guests, opportunities for social interaction that span the generations. If you find a school that can do that, would you write and let me know? I'd just like to put it down, and I'll be happy to speak of it. But I don't know of any school that can do all those things. Hands-on custom training is the order of the day for serious developmental training of the child. The teaching of physical coordination and informal social interaction includes learning first by practicing communication in simple, practical ways through ordinary conversation between mother and child. One thread running through the entire process is time and dedication to the task. You can study the lives of exemplary mothers, you can read books, you can listen to lectures, but most of all, you must spend your time building the young lives entrusted to you with your own personal attention and planning and the investment of all you are to the task. And that means quantity as well as quality time. A mother's privilege of bonding with her child is done minute by minute, hour after hour, day to day, from year to year. It is an all-consuming investment of time, energy, and creativity. Fourth, mothers have the opportunity to make their children feel that home is the happiest and the best place on all the earth, a choice gift to any child. In many cases, mother becomes the alpha and omega for that child. And she, by her own attitude and the effort she expends, regulates the internal policies by which her home is governed. Her daughters have the opportunity to model themselves after her example, and her sons can be inspired by her quiet but consistent encouragement. Both daughters and sons are directed by her counsel and overshadowed by her virtues. The family mealtime is an important key to making home special. All family members must eat. I must say, most of them like to eat. So there's a natural eagerness and anticipation as well as relaxation to this scene if mother gives attention to making that mealtime special and uniquely a family time. Over the years, my mother set a precedent, as did my husband's mother, of making family meals memorable. So I had a double legacy to drive me to do the same through a unique blend of my childhood family's very simple but hearty fare with my husband's childhood meals of very fancy, exotic ethnic cuisines. And I've added seasonal touches, tablescapes, and sometimes place favors. My husband has made a priority lively discussion and conversation as part of the mealtime. Never reprimands or chastisement in this setting. I added the wonderful laboratory for etiquette training, and I must say my husband's curriculum won over mine. His has survived, and mine, I don't know what happened. It didn't quite work out as I planned. Let's conclude. Perhaps the home is the toughest workplace of all. Its demands, indeed, are unrelenting and may even be unreasonable. A mother seems to be on call 24 hours a day, and that without even a basic wage, much less any overtime. We are not paycheck mothers, but we are working mothers. The work may be physically, emotionally, and mentally draining, and it can be boring and seem to be without purpose or reward. A mother will not always be recognized or thanked for her selfless labor. Mothers who invest their primary energies and creativities and the bulk of their time to rearing their children do indeed work, but they are not paid in dollars and cents. Their rewards rest in the seedbed of their own hearts, with lasting memories of their investment in the lives of those whom they love most in all the world. I consider the best present I have ever given to my children to be my presence in their lives, day in and day out, from the beginning and even now, and until I breathe my last. The best present they have given me is wrapped up in who they have become, the places they have taken in their own respective homes, and the contributions they are making in the lives of their own families, friends, and even the strangers who cross their paths. And they continue to be a special part of my life. So perhaps we mothers do have the toughest job in the marketplace. The hours are unending, the responsibility is overwhelming, and the clients are often ungrateful. But we are up to it, ladies. We are up to it. God prepared us just for such a time as this. A mother has the opportunity to speak with her life as well as with her tongue. There is no higher happiness and joy than birthing and nurturing life. Nothing in this world I have ever done, whether writing books, broadcast on radio or television, messages from the public platform, attaining multiple academic degrees, teaching classes, traveling the world, none of it equals the joy I have had in molding the lives of my children and watching them walk across the stage of life, taking their place in the next generation. Thank you very much.